Hey, what is going on guys? My name is ThePromG and welcome back to a brand new video. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today is my impressions of the new chapter of the new Shonen Jump series, Paradox Ghostwriter. Now, let me preface this video by saying that I'm not traditionally a huge shonen manga fan. You know, I really like Dragon Ball, Bleach, One Punch Man's in my top 5 favorite manga of all time, and manga like Ultimo and Siren back in the day are what got me into the manga in the first place. But other than those manga that I've named off, I really haven't connected well with the shonen series that I've read so far. Maybe I'm just missing the good ones, but what I've read, like My Hero, I think was just so boring, and you can hate me for that, you can have a disagreeing opinion. And my disinterest in shonen titles is kind of reflected in my manga collection. I have like 3 shonen series, I think, 3 or 4, so that kind of goes to show that I'm definitely more of a seinen fan, and shonen is something that I'm not really used to reading. That being said, I wasn't all too interested when I heard about these new Shonen Jump titles that were being introduced on the app, but after seeing a couple videos on them, I decided that I wanted to give one in particular a try, that being Paradox Ghostwriter. It seemed to be getting a lot of praise from manga tubers that I watch and respect their opinions and a lot of the times agree with. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring, read the chapter, and see what I thought about for myself so I can make this review video for you guys. That being said, I am not a fan of this first chapter. Now, before you dislike the video, unsubscribe, and come to my house with pitchforks in hand, I just want you to hear me out. Obviously, if you like this first chapter and you're excited for the series, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I'm not gonna hate anyone for liking a certain manga that I don't personally enjoy. And in addition to that, this is only the first chapter of this manga, so that doesn't really give you a good idea of what the whole series will be like as far as quality goes. Some of my favorite series, you know, had rough starts. Like I mentioned, One Punch Man. I wasn't a huge fan of the first 2 volumes, but after that, you know, it just became an incredible series in my opinion. So who knows, I could do a complete 180 in my opinion, but as far as the first chapter goes, I'm not a huge fan. I'm going to get into why. So first things first, we're going to get into a little summary of the story. So basically, we have our main character, Sasaki, who is a 24-year-old up-and-coming mangaka. Maybe up-and-coming isn't the right way to phrase it. He's more of a mangaka who's struggling to get his name out there. He had one glimpse of glory when he had this one series get a runner-up reward in the Shonen Jump magazine. But ever since that, every storyboard he's given to his editor just gets shot down, you know. He keeps saying that there's nothing interesting about the characters or the story. Basically what the editor says is that everything Sasaki makes is something unoriginal that anybody else could do. So one day after being rejected, he goes home, you know, all down in the dumps, walking through a rainstorm, you know, that typical cliche, you know, when things just aren't going your way. And he basically collapses on the floor once he gets home, almost ready to say, I quit. He made a promise to himself that when he says, I quit, he's done. So he's about to say it, and right before he says, I quit, a lightning bolt comes down and strikes his house, striking his microwave. Basically, when he goes over to investigate his microwave that's now become like this melted abomination, he opens up the microwave and finds a Shonen Jump magazine from 10 years in the future. He notices that he doesn't recognize any of these titles that are in this Shonen Jump magazine, so he blows it off as saying, oh yeah, I'm just really depressed and loopy and delusional, so this can't really be happening. But he reads the magazine and finds this one story in particular that he thinks is absolutely amazing. He reads it multiple times, he memorizes every little detail, but then he goes back and realizes that the magazine is gone. So what he decides to do is write this story that he read for himself and submit it to the editor to get into Shonen Jump, this editor that shot him down countless times. So he storms in there, gives it to him, and the people in the office are actually really amazed with it, and they say, you know what, instantly, we're putting this in our magazine. So Sasaki has the story from the future, and he calls it his own and submits it to Shonen Jump, and it sees absolutely fantastic numbers, and basically sees lots and lots of success for this manga that he actually stole from the future. Now, in the last few pages of this chapter, we're shown the real mangaka whose idea this stories that he stole was, it's like a 17-year-old girl who's in some closet, you know, Shonen Jump magazines lining the walls, and she's like, how is my character, my story, in Shonen Jump when I haven't even made it yet? So yeah, that's basically a full summary of this chapter, and I'm going to get into what I think of this chapter specifically. Now, right off the bat, one of the main praises that I've seen for this manga is how original the idea and the concept is, and while I get that there are elements that make it interesting, you know, obviously time travel is nothing new. I feel like lots of other mediums have already tried this idea of something from the future coming to the present and then people steal it and call it their own. For example, there's that movie Yesterday from a couple years ago, where it's that guy who's a, you know, struggling musician, his songs just don't quite make it big, but then all of a sudden a power outage strikes the whole world, and all of a sudden nobody's heard of the Beatles, so he takes their songs, claims them as his own, and just becomes a worldwide sensation. Now, that movie was not very well received, and I personally thought it was not very good, but that's not to say that the idea is horrible or anything like that. It just wasn't really well executed, and that's kind of the vibes I'm getting in this series so far. Maybe it's just that these mediums of entertainment that already tried this idea in a similar way just left a bad taste in my mouth, but it just really seems cliche and overdone at this point. Now, to my knowledge, there's not a series that has this exact same idea, being the Shonen Jump from the future, coming out of a microwave. Obviously, there's some unique elements, but I don't think that really makes up for the fact that there are a lot of cliches in this series. Another thing that I wasn't really a fan of is the amount of wordy panels in this manga. I really like Death Note, for example, but the amount of wordiness into stuff they have to sit through and read is really ridiculous, especially in this manga. There are just pages where it's just bubble on bubble on bubble, on top and bottom, just constant words, you know, explaining how the manga industry works and bringing up to date on this character's life, all in like the first few pages. It really just felt like a mad dash to give a basic explanation of how the manga industry works before going into the story. It just kind of lays everything out for you in these wordy bubbles. I think many can agree that this first part of this chapter really wasn't that interesting at all. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't completely hate this chapter. I really like the art style in this manga. It's reminiscent of this typical shonen art style in most instances, but there are also some very detailed panels which I think have amazing artwork. I don't remember the manga artist's name off the top of my head, but I have to give credit where credit is due. The art is really, really good and actually has some exceedingly amazing panels kind of sprinkled into the typical shonen art style. I also like the comedy for the most part in this manga. You know, I thought that there were some parts where, for example, when he keeps getting shut down over and over again, and you have these reactions to him getting shut down, and the editor who shuts him down time and time again, just being a complete dick to him, I thought that was really funny. The series really could turn into something special if it capitalizes on the things that make it unique, and less on the idea of something from the future coming to the past, and all those tropes and cliches that accompany that idea. So basically, to sum it all up, I could see this manga being successful and why a lot of people would like it, but me personally, as already not a huge fan of shonen, I just think that the cliches in this story and its overall kind of lack of originality in its concept really are a turnoff for me. However, I thought that the art style and the comedy were definite highlights of this chapter. We'll just have to see where the series goes on from here. I'll probably be checking out the next chapters when they come out and potentially doing videos on them, depending on how I feel about them. I just don't get a lot of the hype that the series is getting based off of one chapter for its originality. I just don't really think it's there. But if you're excited for the future of Time Paradox Ghostwriter, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. In fact, I am very glad they have a series that you guys are looking forward to. You know, me personally, I'm not going to be foaming at the mouth waiting for the new chapter to come out, but I'll definitely be keeping an eye on it just to see where it goes, and maybe I'll revisit in the future. But yeah, final verdict, nothing special. I think that's way overhyped for a first chapter. But yeah, that's wrap up this video. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more manga videos just like this. Make sure to leave in the comments below what you thought of this first chapter. I'd definitely be interested to know what you guys think about it. Anyways guys, this has been ThePromG. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and as always, hope to catch you in the next one.